FDA approves GSK's Nucala mepolizumab for eosinophilic COPD, a new era in respiratory care. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, is a debilitating and progressive respiratory condition that affects millions of people globally. It is characterized by persistent respiratory symptoms and airflow limitation due to airway and/or alveolar abnormalities, typically caused by significant exposure to noxious particles or gases, most commonly cigarette smoke. COPD significantly diminishes quality of life, imposes a substantial burden on patients and caregivers, and contributes to rising healthcare costs through hospitalizations and chronic treatment needs. On May 22, 2025, the US Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, approved GSK's Nucala mepolizumab as an add-on maintenance treatment for adults with COPD who have an eosinophilic phenotype. This phenotype is defined by elevated eosinophil counts, which contribute to airway inflammation and frequent exacerbations. The approval marks the first time a biologic therapy specifically targeting eosinophilic-driven COPD has been made available to patients in the US, ushering in a new chapter in precision respiratory care. COPD includes two main clinical conditions, chronic bronchitis and emphysema, both of which cause breathing difficulties and progressive lung function decline. Patients typically experience chronic cough, mucus production, wheezing, chest tightness, and breathlessness. These symptoms can worsen over time, especially during exacerbations, acute episodes of intensified respiratory symptoms requiring additional treatment or hospitalization. The World Health Organization has ranked COPD as the third leading cause of death globally, responsible for approximately 3.23 million deaths in 2019. With no known cure, current therapies focus on symptom management, reducing exacerbation frequency, and slowing disease progression. Despite advances in bronchodilators and inhaled corticosteroids, many patients, especially those with frequent exacerbations, remain inadequately controlled. This reality underscores the pressing need for more targeted and effective therapies. Eosinophils are a type of white blood cell that play a role in the body's immune response, especially in allergic and inflammatory processes. In certain individuals with COPD, elevated levels of eosinophils in the blood are associated with heightened airway inflammation, leading to more frequent and severe exacerbations. These patients are said to have an eosinophilic phenotype, typically identified by a blood eosinophil count, BC, of 150 cells per microliter or greater. Studies suggest that approximately 20% to 40% of COPD patients present with this eosinophilic subtype. For these individuals, conventional treatments such as inhaled corticosteroids and long-acting bronchodilators often provide suboptimal relief. This has prompted increased interest in therapies that specifically target eosinophilic inflammation, offering the potential for more personalized, effective disease management. Nucala mepolizumab is a humanized monoclonal antibody that selectively binds to interleukin-5, Illinois, 5, a key cytokine responsible for the maturation, recruitment, and survival of eosinophils. By neutralizing IL-5, mepolizumab reduces eosinophil counts in both blood and tissues, helping to mitigate the inflammatory processes that drive disease exacerbations in eosinophilic COPD. Originally approved for severe eosinophilic asthma, eosinophilic granulomatosis with polyangiitis, EGPA, and hypereosinophilic syndrome, HES, mepolizumab has a well-established safety and efficacy profile. Its expansion into the COPD space reflects a broader movement toward phenotype-driven treatment strategies, where therapies are tailored to specific biological pathways rather than disease symptoms alone. The approval of mepolizumab for eosinophilic COPD was supported by a robust body of clinical evidence, particularly from the Phase 3 METREX and MATINEE studies. The METREX trial was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study involving patients with moderate to severe COPD who had a history of frequent exacerbations and elevated blood eosinophil counts. Participants received mepolizumab 100 mg subcutaneously once every 4 weeks, in addition to standard of care inhaled therapies. Results showed a statistically significant reduction in the annual rate of moderate to severe exacerbations compared to placebo in the eosinophilic subgroup. Notably, patients with a BECC of 300 cells per microliter or more experienced even greater benefit. Building on these findings, the MATINEE trial examined the long-term impact of mepolizumab over a 104-week treatment period. The study confirmed the durability of the drug's efficacy, demonstrating a 21% reduction in moderate to severe exacerbations among patients with eosinophilic COPD compared to placebo. Importantly, safety outcomes remained consistent with previous mepolizumab studies, reinforcing the treatment's favorable risk-benefit profile. The approval of Nucala for eosinophilic COPD is a major step forward in personalized respiratory medicine. For the first time, clinicians have access to a biologic therapy that specifically targets the inflammatory pathway responsible for exacerbations in a clearly defined COPD subgroup. This approach represents a shift away from the one-size-fits-all model that has dominated COPD management for decades. For patients, the impact is potentially transformative. Individuals who have struggled with repeated exacerbations despite adherence to inhaled treatments may now experience fewer flare-ups, improved symptom control, and a better overall quality of life. Furthermore, reducing the frequency and severity of exacerbations can lessen the need for systemic corticosteroids and hospitalizations, both of which are associated with significant side effects and economic costs. The FDA's approval of Nucala, mepolizumab, for eosinophilic COPD is a landmark moment in respiratory care. By addressing a key underlying driver of inflammation in a targeted patient population, GSK's biologic offers new hope for improved outcomes in a disease that has long resisted innovation. As the field of respiratory medicine continues to embrace precision treatment paradigms, Nucala stands as a testament to the power of tailoring therapy to the biology of disease, rather than its broad clinical labels. This milestone not only benefits patients with eosinophilic COPD, but also paves the way for further research into biomarker-guided treatment strategies across other respiratory and inflammatory diseases.